You're listening to Soundside. I'm Libby Dankman. Consider yourself cordially invited to Brendan Healy's memorial service. That's because the Seattle playwright is sharing his experience of living with and dying from a terminal illness. His newest play is called Eulogy, or How to Plan Your Own Funeral and Have Fun Doing It. If you go, you'll get a front row seat to remembrances of Healy's life. And the play also promises audiences pictures of puppies. So there's going to be something for everybody. He's putting the production on through Pony World Theater, which he co-founded in 2009. Eulogy, or How to Plan Your Own Funeral, opens October 23rd at 12th Avenue Arts on Capitol Hill. And Brendan Healy is here with me now. Hi, welcome. It's really good to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Libby. Thank you for having me.
So I just wanted to start out by asking you, as somebody who has lived with a terminal illness for a long time, when did you first learn what death is?
That's a very interesting question, Libby. That's not one I've heard before, so I really appreciate that. It's actually the concept of death, we're introduced to it at a very young age. You talk to small children, and they have a vague notion of it. It isn't something that we are spared as small children. It's more a period of acclimation. Like you hear about it in stories that you might read, or you learn through Halloween, maybe in ghost stories. And then at a certain point, someone you know dies, or a pet dies, and slowly bit through life becomes much more concrete and immediate and meaningful. But it is introduced early. And in my case, I can't remember maybe the first idea of death, but I do know very specifically, I have a very clear memory of when I learned that what I had was terminal. I was 4 years old. And it was, I had the name for this condition, but I didn't know a whole lot more about it other than just the way it sort of made me feel sometimes, maybe, and all the doctor's appointments and such. But I was watching TV one night with my dad, and a commercial came on, and out of nowhere, he just grabbed me and lifted me up and sprinted out of the room with me. And later that night, he took me into the bathroom and set me down on the edge of the tub so we could have some privacy, And he explained that the commercial was to raise money for research into cystic fibrosis. And he had seen the commercial before, so the second it came on, he knew what it was. And he knew that it featured somebody whose child had died of CF. And so that's why he panicked, right? They had not had the talk with me yet. So he panicked and he ran me out of the room. And that night, I can't really imagine what that would have been like for him, but he had to then very suddenly, okay, now's the time we tell him. This is the moment where everything else changes for him. And he told me, yes, this is the way it is. That thing we talk about that you have, it does kill people. And so that's where really that cognitive journey began, was at age 4. And that is very much a whole part of the show, right? That's sort of where the show begins, is with that story of being run out of the room during, a commercial break on TV.
I think when somebody hears the diagnosis, cystic fibrosis, they might know that this is a terminal illness, but they might not know too much more about it. And is it okay if I ask just what it's like to be living with the condition?
Yeah, it's actually, it's a constant discovery, to be honest. I was diagnosed at a very, very young age, age 2. Some people are diagnosed nowadays at birth because screening is becoming more universal at birth screening. But when I was born, it was just if you had enough symptoms, they would check you for it, if somebody even thought of it, because it wasn't common enough that people would even think of it. People who have lighter cases might not find out until much later, but I was diagnosed at age 2. And one thing it's interesting, like when you have a disease that's very serious like that, you have it from a young age, you go to the doctor all the time. You're constantly doing medical intervention. So people think you know everything about it, but people don't explain everything to a 6-year-old. There's too much science. There's too much, just take your medicine, right? That's the goal. Eat your food and take your medicine is really all you can hope to get out of a 6-year-old. So by the time I was in my 30s, and all these other elements of it keep coming up because it complicates with age. Be like, how come nobody told me. And because they assume you know, right? So at a certain point, there's a gray area where you are old enough to have learned stuff, but people don't tell you because they assumed you already learned it because you've had it your entire life. So you take that, you add on to the fact that it does complicate with age. And even now in my 40s, I'm learning stuff all the time.
Yeah. When did you start deciding, or maybe it was unconscious, to draw from your experience and channel it into your work, your creative work?
This particular project is very different. I assume that it's influenced me in other work throughout my entire life, unconsciously, if nothing else. But actually, I did everything I could. I worked so hard from like age 18 until just a few years ago to keep my CF a secret. I actually was desperately, I don't want to say the word ashamed, but after a while, it did start to feel, the level of secrecy started to feel like, oh, I must be ashamed of it. Even
You
though
mean
that
you were
wasn't the
keeping it
motivation.
secret from like friends, or who were you keeping it secret from?
Everybody I could, except for obviously my family and my wife. Obviously, I let her know the day after the wedding. I didn't want to give her an out.
Gotcha. No.
A little bit of bait and switch never hurt anybody. So, my wife, obviously, my family, and a few very close friends knew. And over the years, like let in a few more friends when circumstances required or I required. But for the most part, everybody I worked with, coworkers, casual friends, even some really good friends who, I wouldn't call them as casual, but I didn't want to make it part of our relationship. So yeah, I kept it a secret. After adolescence and having, there's no secrets in high school, right? There's no privacy in that context. So that definitely impacted my experience in school as a young person. And I decided when I went off to college, no one will ever know. And it was just within the last few years, I started to open up about it.
Yeah. It was like your version of going off to college and changing your name. Like now people will not know that I have cystic fibrosis and I'll live a new, different kind of life. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you touched on this a little bit, but what was the impetus to finally say, I'm going to be open about this? I'm going to come out of the CF closet.
After a while, it did start to feel like I was hiding a shameful secret rather than protecting my privacy, right? It started off protecting my privacy, but the more it became an elaborate effort to hide it from folks because it's not a subtle condition. You see me walking down the street and you might not think anything, but you see me keep walking. And when I start panting and being out of breath and coughing, you'll start to think something's up. So you spend a lot of time with people. It becomes harder to hide it, or it becomes like they know something's wrong and they know you're not telling them. So it does sort of feel like an element of dishonesty is involved in some of your really important relationships. So that was a big part of me finally coming around to trying to be a little more open about it.
It's one thing to start telling friends. It's another thing to write and put on and perform an entire play about what's going on. And by the way, it's about your funeral. I mean, this is like a very dramatic, not to be, a pun here, but it's a very dramatic move from being a person who was private about it to being so open. How does it feel, and why are you doing this?
I have been accused of having a hard time doing things in half measures. I kind of go a little too extreme in everything I do. So I was extremely private about it, and now I'm standing up on a stage for 15 nights telling anybody who will come about this.
Random strangers, come on in.
Random strangers, yeah. Random strangers, presumably some of my coworkers. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. And I won't really have a concept of what that is until it happens. Until I make eye contact maybe with someone in the audience who I've never met, right as I talk about it. That will be a discovery for me. Can you remind me what the question was, though?
Oh, yeah. It was like, why? How is it making you feel, and why are you doing this? Why in the world?
Why in the world is a question I ask on a hourly basis at this stage with 1 week to go before we open. It definitely is the most vulnerable thing I've ever done. And in moments of doubt, which I have many of, I try to remind myself that if you're going to do something creative that's worthwhile, it has to be vulnerable. It can't feel safe. And that gets me through like the next 10 minutes until I panic again. But yeah, it's going to feel very strange.
I'm talking with Brendan Healy. He is the writer and star of a play called Eulogy, or How to Plan Your Own Funeral and Have Fun Doing It. It opens October 23rd at 12th Avenue Arts on Capitol Hill in Seattle. Brendan, what does it feel like, not just the writing process, but rehearsals, everything, to spend so much time contemplating your own death?
One thing that I'll say about the rehearsal process, first off, I have a fantastic team of people who are helping me out, and they're just giving so much to this project, and it's very touching, like how much they are committed to this. My director, Sofia Franzella, fantastic. All the designers are fantastic. And we also have it's not a purely solo show. It is a semi-solo show because we have a small ensemble of really wonderful, talented performers who are a part of the presentation. But one of the things about the rehearsal process that has actually been quite helpful is at a certain point, you have to just get over how personal the story is. You just have to stop thinking about that part and start thinking about the mechanics. I move the water glass here. I've been getting this line wrong. I have to get it right every night. I have to wait for this beat so that that other performer can move through the space. And that sort of exposure to the mechanics is a good way to sort of just sort of have to like accept this challenge. You've done it, you're doing it, move on, get it done, do it right. And I think doing it right is like, that's a really good motivation to just not focus too much on that thing that would otherwise probably paralyze me with fear.
When you are facing audiences for the first time, what will make you know that it's landing? Like, is it laughs? Is it tears? What are you expecting from audiences?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully they'll walk out saying they laughed, they cried. It's better than Cats.
Whoa, high bar.
Yeah, I know.
You like Andrew Lloyd Webber level?
No.
That's something.
No, obviously not. Plus, I can't carry a tune to save my life.
Oh my God, if you break into memories, I will give you all the awards. All the awards.
Well, so you're giving me an idea now. It's not too late. We have a week to go.
Oh my God. Let's get back to the drawing board, Brendan.
Well, actually, and it is not too late until closing night, because one thing I will say about the show is one of my favorite parts of the show is that every night it ends differently. And we end every show with like a special presentation or staging moment that is just for that audience, so that every night they get an experience that nobody else is going to get. This is really, even though I do the show for 4 weeks, in a way, every night is like, this is the one time that show will exist. Much like, not to be a pandemic, but much like life, right? This is our life. We get one shot at it. And so it both is, I think, thematically meaningful, but it's also it's just fun. We have so many fun things that we end the show with. And so I think, yeah, Cats, memories, maybe we'll do it if we don't get sued, now that we've said it.
And I know ALW is a big listener, so that's going to be a problem. Yeah. For somebody who's like, on the fence and they're like, I don't know, this sounds like such a bummer, Brendan. Like, what's your kind of elevator pitch to be like, no, really, come to the show?
Well, I mean, it's right there in the title, and have fun doing it. I mean, it's first off, who doesn't have fun planning a funeral, right? They're better than weddings and birthday parties. It is, the piece does intentionally have quite a bit of humor in it because, we do talk about some very serious things, and we can't subject an audience to that without finding the fun in it as well. And I'm naturally a fairly irreverent person. So there's lots of that part of my personality in the piece. And I'm also a big fan of whimsy. So we try to bring that in as much as possible. And yeah, it does talk about some serious stuff, and it does go to some sad places. But one of the big themes of the play is that grief can't exist where there isn't love. And so really trying to mine those dark periods in our lives for the love and the joy that makes it painful, that makes it significant, and then elevate us with the good side, the happy side of those things afterwards. So it ends on a really big, life-affirming, joie de vivre moment. And there are spoilers I can't give away, but it definitely ends on a good news, happy note, good times kind of a feel.
What has surprised you about the process of writing and putting on this play about your own death? I mean, you act in it. That's one thing that's new for you, right? What has been the most surprising thing about the process?
That no one stopped me. That no one said, "What are you doing?"
Actually, this is the intervention. Your family and friends said the radio host is the one to do it. Yeah.
That's a little complicated, but I appreciate the theatrics of it all.
It's really elaborate. They thought you'd enjoy that. Yeah.
So on that note, on what you just said, Libby, as far as like the intervention, like I think it's fair to say that I have a face made for radio and I have a voice made for mime. So the fact that I'm going to get up and present both of those things to an audience, that really should have been a red flag right there.
I am shaking my head in a really large motion, everybody, just so you know.
Well, it's like I do. I am very sorry for your listeners because I hate the sound of my voice, right? Like, and part of it is the CF, the way it's affected my lung capacity and my airways. I think I sound like Kermit the Frog if he smoked 3 packs a day. So I'm going to get up there and talk for an hour and 15 minutes. Like, that's great. Those poor people. No, please come to the show. It's going to be fun.
Kermit the Frog is one of our greatest entertainers. So we should all be so lucky as to know a Kermit the Frog with 3 packs a day habit. Okay.
I mean, I don't think anybody. I assume somebody talked to him about the dangers of smoking. That doesn't seem.
So.
Yeah.
I hope so. So on a serious note, I guess this is a clue to how the play is going to go, because I thought we were going to have some real serious talk here. But on a serious note, do you hope? I mean, God, I can't believe I've never asked anybody this, but do you hope when you're no longer here that people can look back at this and find a little joy?
I hope so. I do. I mean, I think that is a big part of what I try to do with the plays that I make is I'm not a writer or a director who does broad farce. And that's nothing against that genre, right? Like laughs. We need laughs in this world. I'm not doing that, but I do like joy and celebration is a big part of what I do. Even when I'm doing a serious or a piece with like a lot of tension in it, I always have that valve that I can't help but turn that has like wild, big, ridiculous moments, moments of levity. And I mean, I hope that, I guess I could say that's what I hope what people feel about me at the end. Whenever it is that I pass, right? That I had brought some meaning to the lives of the people I loved and knew, but more than that, joy.
Brendan Healy is the playwright and star of Eulogy, or How to Plan Your Own Funeral and Have Fun Doing It at 12th Avenue Arts. It's running October 23rd to November 15th. I am excited. I'm definitely going because I had so much fun in this conversation. Like, I just want to be in your presence more, and I want to go hang out and watch.
Coffee, talk about death.
Let's do it. Come on. I'm in. And we'll invite Andrew Lloyd Webber and Kermit, and it'll be great.
This is sounding fun. I'm in.
Brendan, thank you so much. It's great to meet you, and good luck with the break a leg or whatever you're supposed to say in the theater world.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Lovely to be here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Soundside. And hey, this show is only possible because listeners support us. If you are able to give right now, check out the show notes for a link to donate. And don't forget, you can listen live on KUOW 94.9 FM Seattle at noon and 8 p.m., Monday through Thursday, or anytime online at KUOW.org.